हेलो दोस्तों, मैं हूं विष्णु। वेलकम बैक इन यूट्यूब चैनल रिएक्शन जोन। और दोस्तों कैसे हो? तो दोस्तों आज जो वीडियो हम लोग देखने जा रहे हैं उसमें जो टाइटल दिया गया है वो दिया गया है वाई नेपाल मैटर्स। क्या नेपाल सही में मैटर करता है इस दुनिया के लिए? तो भाई इसका क्या रीज़न हो सकता है ये वीडियो बनाने का? मुझे बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आया ये क्या तुक बनता है इस वीडियो का। वाई नेपाल मैटर, भाई क्यों नहीं मैटर करता नेपाल? तो चलिए देखते हैं इस वीडियो में कि वीडियो के अंदर क्या बताया गई है, क्या चीज़ें बताई गई। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि भाई इसके अंदर नेपाल की इम्पोर्टेंस बताई गई होगी कि नेपाल ने क्या दिया है दुनिया को, क्या मिलता है नेपाल के अंदर और नेपाल क्यों ज़रूरी है दुनिया के लिए। ओके, तो चलिए पहले वीडियो देख लेते हैं, उसके बाद वीडियो के एंड में हम लोग डिस्कशन करेंगे नेपाल के बारे में और वाई नेपाल मैटर्स के बारे में और दुनिया से क्या रिश्ता है नेपाल का। ओके, स्टार्ट करते हैं वीडियो को। Geopolitical importance.
Nepal is one of the richest countries in the world in terms of water resources. The Himalayan country is traditionally in India's geopolitical orbit, although China is increasing its economic presence in the region. And Russia is expected to get involved in Nepal's energy. In spite of tremendous potentials for development, the landlocked country remains one of the poorest in the world and is heavily dependent on its powerful neighbours.
The shared interest in Nepal.
Nepal is reportedly working on a number of projects including 9 major power plants while considering another 27 sites for future exploration. It is expected that Indian, Chinese, Russian and other energy corporations will try to get involved and benefit from cooperation with Nepal, as the country's river systems provide immense potential for hydroelectric development. Nepal's maximum potential for the production of hydroelectricity has not yet been met. Some authors consider Nepal to be the biggest natural battery system of the world, where renewable energies like solar and wind in the entire region can be used to pump water back to higher elevation dams. It is believed that due to its hydro potential, Nepal can generate the cheapest electricity in the world. Since the global powers are trying to get full control over energy resources, especially in small countries, it is a matter of time before countries like Russia, China, the United States and India show huge interests in Nepal's hydro potential. Apart from water, Nepal also has mineral resources. However, they are scattered and barely developed. There are also known deposits of lignite, iron ore, magnesite, copper and cobalt, but due to the lack of modern technology and equally skilled labour, the country has been unable to obtain these minerals at desired levels. In spite of that, global and regional powers are interested in Nepal's energy. India launched construction of a 900 megawatt power plant in Nepal in November 2018. The project is expected to cost the US $1.04 billion and is being built by state-run Indian firm Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam. It is worth mentioning that the project is moving forwards just as a Chinese proposal to build a 750 megawatt power plant in West Nepal has run into a roadblock. China is reportedly pouring aid and investment into Nepali hospitals, roads and hydroelectric plants. The Himalayan Republic is a natural buffer between India and China. Beijing and New Delhi have historically jockeyed for influence in Nepal, and they share their own sources of tension. Kathmandu expects to sign deals with China that could transform the entire Himalayan region by revamping underperforming hydropower, energy and transit industries. It is worth noting that Nepal is seen as the chief candidate for a new transboundary railway under China's Belt and Road Initiative that will link China to the subcontinent. Even though Nepal is seen by some authors as a country that is in India's geopolitical orbit, China might use the Kalpani dispute between New Delhi and Kathmandu to attempt to get more influence in Nepal. The Himalayan Republic, on the other hand, is trying to diversify its trade agreements and move away from dependence on India. The economic blockade Indian government imposed on Nepal in 2015, which many believed was retaliation by New Delhi for not having a bigger role in helping to draft Nepal's constitution, reportedly led to a humanitarian crisis. Still, India remains Nepal's key trade partner and sole supplier of oil, which is currently carried on tankers by road to the landlocked country. Nearly all products that come to Nepal do so through India. Even Chinese goods destined to reach Nepal arrive by the sea to East India from where they are transported to the Himalayan country by land. On the other hand, the number of air connections from China to Nepal is growing tremendously. But for geographic reasons, India's land connection with the Himalayan country will always provide New Delhi strong influence in Nepal. Russia is presently a relatively insignificant actor in Nepal. However, in the foreseeable future, the Kremlin might improve its geopolitical position in the region. According to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Moscow and Kathmandu have good prospects of cooperation in the energy, metallurgy, infrastructure and civilian aviation sectors. Russia already supplies helicopters to Nepal, and the Kremlin plans to export some of its aircraft to the South Asian country. The Russian aviation equipment has proved itself to be good in the high mountain conditions of Nepal. Mi-17 helicopters supplied earlier are operating in Nepal, and plans are in place to develop the interactions in this sphere for the future, said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov after recent talks with his Nepalese counterpart Pradeep Kumar Gowali. Apart from military, Russia is interested in Nepal's energy potential. According to Nepalese officials, Russia's expertise in the energy sector, a sector in which the Russian Federation has a long and leading experience, could be of tremendous importance for Nepal. Russian technology related to hydropower plants, accessories and non-conventional use of energy is considered to be particularly suitable for Nepal. It is worth mentioning that the Soviet Union provided assistance to Nepal for the setting up of Panoti hydroelectric power station in 1965. The Soviet Union started extending economic and development cooperation to Nepal's development efforts soon after the establishment of diplomatic relations in 1956. In particular, a large number of technical human resources were trained in the Soviet Union, mainly in the engineering and industry fields. However, unlike the USSR, which had a strong ideology, modern Russia, especially when it comes to international relations, has merely financial interests that are often related to the oligarchs that run Russia's economy. At this point, Russian businesses are not showing particular interests in Nepal, although the two countries have been maintaining trade and economic relations since the 1960s, when the Soviet Union assisted in the construction of a number of industrial and infrastructure facilities in Nepal. Trade between Moscow and Kathmandu stood at only $9.1 million in 2018. In spite of such a low balance of trade, business ties between the two countries will likely grow in the future, as in the first 6 months of 2019, a 5.5% increase was recorded compared to the same period in 2018. Naturally, major world powers are primarily taking care of their own political and geo-economic interests. When it comes to Nepal, Russia is far behind India and China, but in the long term, its expected economic presence in the country might slightly affect Beijing's and New Delhi's businesses in the region. After the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the number of Nepalese going to Russia for higher education has significantly declined. In spite of that, a formidable number of younger Nepalese are still studying at Russian universities. There are also many Nepalese who study in other countries worldwide. However, it is improbable that they will ever be able to use their knowledge to contribute to development of their own country's economy. Nepal will likely remain heavily dependent on foreign powers, especially India and China, and will wait for a moment when they start mercilessly exploiting the Nepalese natural resources.
दोस्तों, जैसा कि हम लोगों ने ये पूरा वीडियो देखा कि क्यों नेपाल इम्पोर्टेंट है, किस हर एक इसके अंदर छोटी छोटी चीज़ें बताई गई, और जो मेन चीज़ तो ज़्यादातर उन्होंने हाईलाइट किया वो है रशिया के ऊपर, कि रशिया और नेपाल किस तरह से एक दूसरे के साथ कनेक्ट हो रहे हैं, और रशिया को क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट है नेपाल से, और रशिया नेपाल के साथ कैसे रिलेशनशिप बिल्ड कर रहा है। चाइना तो ऑलरेडी बिल्ड कर चुका है, इंडिया और नेपाल का रिलेशन बहुत अच्छा है, बट रशिया भी अब इन्वॉल्व होना चाहता है, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी रशिया और नेपाल के रिलेशन बने हुए हैं। वो हेलीकॉप्टर वगैरह प्रोवाइड करते हैं नेपाल को, और भी ज़्यादा इनके बीच में भी रिलेशंस कनेक्शंस अच्छे होने जा रहे हैं, और होने भी चाहिए। हर एक कंट्री से हमारे रिलेशन अच्छे होने चाहिए, क्योंकि कल को क्या होता है, क्योंकि अभी जैसा माहौल चल रहा है दुनिया में, वॉर चल रही है, जिस तरह से लोग एक दूसरे को मार काट रहे हैं, वो उन सब चीज़ों से तो बेहतर यही है कि हम एक दूसरे का सपोर्ट करें, एक दूसरे की सहायता करें, जिसके पास जो कमी है उसकी कमी को पूरा करें। मान लीजिए रशिया के पास कुछ नहीं, नेपाल दे सकता है, नेपाल के पास कुछ नहीं, इंडिया दे सकता है, इंडिया के पास कुछ नहीं, रशिया दे सकता है। तो ऐसी एक तरह का ये सर्कल है और ये सर्कल होना चाहिए, एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट करना चाहिए। आप लोग क्या लगता है इस वीडियो से रिलेटेड, मुझे कमेंट में जरूर बताइए। बाकी जो टाइटल था वाई नेपाल मैटर्स, नेपाल बहुत एक ज़रूरी एसेट है दुनिया के लिए। नेपाल और इंडिया जो इन दोनों कंट्रीज के पास जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी है, जो ऑर्गेनिक चीज़ें यहाँ पर मिलती है, वो पूरी दुनिया में कहीं पर नहीं मिलती है। इस चीज़ को वो लोग भी जानते हैं, इसीलिए वो जो बाहर के लोग हैं वो इंडिया के साथ रिलेशनशिप बनाना चाहते हैं और नेपाल के साथ रिलेशनशिप बनाना चाहते हैं, क्योंकि उनको पता है जो चीज़ यहाँ पर है, जो सॉइल यहाँ पर है इंडिया और नेपाल की, वो दुनिया में और कहीं भी नहीं है। तो हमें बिल्कुल प्राउड होना चाहिए एज अ इंडियन, एज अ नेपाली, हमें बहुत ज़्यादा प्राउड होना चाहिए। तो दोस्तों, अगर आप लोग इस वीडियो के बारे में कुछ कहना चाहते हैं या कोई कुछ और चीज़ मिस हो रही है इस वीडियो से रिलेटेड, तो आप मुझे कमेंट सेक्शन में बता सकते हैं या फिर इंस्टा फेसबुक मुझे मैसेज कर सकते हैं। मैं उसके ऊपर भी अपना रिएक्शन बनाऊंगा और आपके साथ शेयर करूँगा। तो चलिए दोस्तों, मिलते हैं फिर अगले वीडियो में इस तरह की धमाकेदार परफॉर्मेंस। तब तक के लिए बाय बाय।